Hi, everybody. Welcome back. This is Lecture 27, Part 1. Talk a little bit today about VR on the PC, the mobile industry, esports, and games as art, and we will wrap up spring semester 2020. I appreciate all the hard work you guys have put in into keeping up with stuff as we get through what is a very challenging environment and time. And let's just get to it. So, today, as we talk about PC gaming, we VR has become a sort of small but prominent part of the PC gaming landscape. So currently, there are two headsets that most people use for VR on PC. Valve originally had the HTC Vive, which was replaced by the Valve Index late last year, and the Oculus Rift, which is now owned by Facebook. And so they support that platform. Both of these were originally released in spring of 2016. These both support a variety of games and apps. That is one of the interesting things about VR is it is often used for things that are not necessarily gaming. So there's a lot of experiences and kind of nifty things you can do with VR that you can't really do with a traditional screen. And so you have a lot of variance in what's available on the VR platforms. Facebook themselves have stated that gaming may not be the primary function of VR. Facebook, because they make all their dollars from connecting people and Messenger and chatting and all that good stuff and posting on each other's Facebook walls. They may see VR, they may see VR primarily as a communications platform to enhance their existing business, but it's unclear at this point. One note about both of these headsets is they require a fairly high-end expensive PC in order to function optimally. It's gotten cheaper and cheaper over time, but for example, the Valve Index, the most recent headset from Valve that they just released last fall, the setup itself runs $1,000, and you need a PC that probably would run you close to $1,000 to run it effectively, in the high hundreds to 1,000. So you're looking at a startup cost of $2,000 for these. You can do it for less. You can certainly do it for like, 1,000, 1,200, even maybe a little under 1,000 at this point. But it's still a very expensive proposition, which is one reason these haven't become as widespread as they otherwise might be. Again, people like the VR because it's so immersive. It offers really unique experiences. So the Oculus Rift is the platform. The Oculus platform is owned now by Facebook. The Rift was the first headset. It started out as a Kickstarter campaign. It was successful. Facebook then purchased Oculus for $2 billion. So Facebook clearly sees this as a growth area in the future. Last May, they released the Rift S, the version 2 hardware. They also, in the past year, released the Oculus Quest, which is a standalone wireless headset that you don't need to have hooked up to a computer. It does everything inside the headset, so it's very nifty. Um, it's the only sort of mainstream VR headset that doesn't really have to be attached by a cord to a computer or to a game console. So they've already generated 20 million sales. They say it's got the highest retention use of all the Rift devices. So it'll be interesting to see where that goes. It seems like they were positioning the Quest to sort of be the breakthrough mainstream VR headset, but the COVID has sort of put a clamp down on supply and things, and it's kind of slowing adoption. It'll be curious to see how this goes over time. But clearly, Facebook, $2 billion investment just a few years ago in Oculus, believes that this is a big growth market for them. The HTC Vive and the Valve Index. The Vive was the first headset, which was a combination of HTC mobile phone and Valve then made their own VR headset in May 2019. The Valve Index is heavily supported and promoted by Valve across their Steam platform. The Steam platform has a dedicated spot for PC VR games. Valve Index is probably the most powerful of the consumer VR headsets in terms of technical capabilities at the moment, but it's also the newest. And so it'll be really interesting to see how that evolves over time. So it's important to note that VR gets a lot of hype, but it hasn't really broken through to the mainstream yet, right? It's really nifty. A lot of people have tried it and said, that's kind of cool, but I don't need to spend $2,000 on it. Or I think the Oculus Quest, the lowest one goes for 400 or 500. So you're talking about the same price as a game console at this point. And it hasn't been compelling enough or available enough for people to sort of say, this is what we want for the future. But it's sort of kind of always hovering on the edge. So it'll be really interesting to see where VR goes over the next 5 to 10 years. So that's just a kind of a brief overview of where VR is at the moment. We'll come back with part two and talk about esports and then the mobile market, and then some other stuff. So hang in there, and we'll keep going with lecture 27. Thanks.